Hello, this is The Harboring Light. I'm Mary. I give a conservative perspective about the world around me, as I like to do. In the beginning of each episode of my podcast, mention social media and audio platforms. Now, social media, I will link all of that in this episode. And to add on to my social media, I am on Substack, and I have writings on Substack. And please feel free to find me on Substack. I will link that in this episode. And you feel free, you enjoy the content, to subscribe and support. And also to add on to this, please feel free, you enjoy my content, please feel free to follow and give me a rating, because I'm greatly appreciative of that, and I greatly appreciate all of you listeners out there. Thank you so much. Now, my audio platforms. I am on Spotify for podcasters, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon Music, and I am looking to grow to wherever you enjoy your podcast. I am on that. So this episode is about the Twilight Zone. I'm centering around the original Twilight Zone show, and I'm going to do a deep analysis, talking about that and just giving facts about it and everything else and my perspective about it. So let's get into it and let's talk about it. So the Twilight Zone, the show, the original show, I think it was very monumental for its time. So, and a big picture of it, what was going on at the time, people coming out of World War II, Korean War in the midst, civil rights, segregation, all this drastic move towards with technology, people living in a suburban life, everything, all these different things going on. And Rod Sterling, I think it was really clever of him to comment about what's going on in society and the more timeless tellings of humanity, and showing it in a way that's different by using science and supernatural, more along the lines of supernatural, to mix in with what's going on with these stories. So, for instance, the idea of beauty and social acceptance of how you look was presented in a unique way, to where the person who thought she wasn't attractive was classically attractive, but everyone else around her didn't think that she was classically attractive because of the way they looked. Pygmalion, like pig-like. And also the ideas of domestic violence, the ideas of alcoholism, the ideas of spirituality with religion, with trying to capture and protect humanity from the devil, and, mortality and death, all of these things. And that's really something to think about. So let's get into this. Let's talk about the Twilight Zone. The Twilight Zone aired on CBS from 1959 to 64. This TV series stands out as the role model for anthologies. The sci-fi / horror / fantasy parables explore humanity's hopes, despairs, prides, and prejudices in deep metaphoric ways. Creator Rod Serling wrote the majority of the scripts and produced legendary writers. The series also featured soon-to-be well-known actors, such as Robert Redford, Burgess Meredith, William Shatner, Burt Reynolds, Robert Duvall, and Charles Bronson, just to name a few. All right. Here are some interesting facts about the Twilight Zone. So, there were almost 6 dimensions. While recording the opening to the pilot episode in 1959, Serling exclaimed there was a 6th dimension to explore. When a network executive overheard the introduction, he asked Serling and assumed there were already 5 dimensions, not 4. Luckily, the mistake was corrected before the episode aired. Viewers sent in scripts. If you were an amateur writer in the 60s or just a fan of the show, you could send in a script to be considered for an episode. In total, 14,000 scripts were sent, and Serling read about 500 of them. Two were good enough, but they didn't fit the format of the show. Only one actor appeared in all 5 seasons. Many actors have appeared multiple times on the program, but only one has the distinction of appearing in all 5 seasons. In total, Robert McCord appeared in 67 episodes, most of them as an extra. One episode won an Oscar. The anthology series won 3 Emmy Awards for its writing and cinematography. It also won an Academy Award, sort of. When the budget was slashed for the show's 5th season, Serling resorted to an unusual cost-cutting measure. He paid $10,000 to purchase the French short film An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge. The silent film was the right fit for the show and was subsequently broadcast as an episode in 1964. The previous year, the film had won an Oscar for Best Short Subject. Okay. So, Serling on-air camera introduction started in Season 2. Serling's on-camera introductions didn't start until the 2nd season. During the 1st season, Serling only appeared on camera during the promotions for the next week's episode. Okay, so moving along, the Looney Tunes parodied the series. The Looney Tunes and the Twilight Zone are different, but the 2 franchises merged when Warner Brothers and DC Comics released the Looney Tunes Zone. The comic series parodied many of Serling's most classic episodes by using the Looney Tunes as the main characters. All right. Also, with this facts, this add-ons to what I was talking about with war and everything with the Korean War. Also, to add on to that, they touch subjects about the Vietnam War. So let's get into talking about this. Well, to talk about how this ties into what I'm saying with Vietnam. Star Trek actors appeared on the series. William Shatner appeared in 2 episodes, Nightmare at 20,000 Feet and Nick of Time. Leonard Nimoy appeared as a soldier in the Philippines during World War II, and the episode A Quality of Mercy, George Takei, played a Japanese American man in the band episode The Encounter. The Twilight Zone film was involved in an involuntary manslaughter case. Warner Brothers adapted The Twilight Zone to the big screen in the early 80s, with esteemed directors like Steven Spielberg and George Miller remaking some of the most famous episodes. Tragically, the stunt helicopter crashed on set and killed an actor and 2 child actors. John Landis, the director of that sequence, was charged with involuntary manslaughter. After a 9-month trial, a jury acquitted Landis in 1987. The director settled with the families of the deceased out of court. Only one episode has a sequel, despite having 2 reboots in 1985 and then again in 2002. The Twilight Zone only has 1 episode with a second part. The original series season 3 episode, It's a Good Life, was turned into a sequel in the 21st century reboot. Cloris Leachman and Billy Mumy reprised their respective roles of the mother and her mind-controlling son, making them the only 2 actors to appear in both the original and in the 2002 series. Okay, moving on. So, submit for your approval was only uttered 3 times. The phrase that has become synonymous with the show was only uttered 3 times over the course of 5 seasons. Serling used the signature phrase in the introductions to the episodes. That is, in praise of Pip and a certain kind of stopwatch, and so on. Now, let's talk about this to wrap it up. A disco song samples the theme song. The band Manhattan Transfer released the disco hit Twilight Tone in 1979, which opened with the famous high-pitched guitar riff that could be heard on every episode. That is, the track reached the top 30 in the UK. So this reaches the end of the Harboring Light. Tune in and turn up and take care. And also to add on to this, any questions, comments, concerns that you have, I will answer them in these recordings. So feel free to do that. You can email me or find me on my social media and follow me on my social media. That will always include in every episode. All right. Take care.